Hey, Beastie here, and this is my first video going into Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We are starting off with a new draft league in which I've never participated in before, the WDC, the Well Lord Draft Community. This is a small draft league that I was personally invited to by the owner, the Matrix of the Welsh Waylords. And this is a small community with pretty much everyone which I know somehow through connections or we've played with in other draft leagues. And so definitely a fun little, community in this with about 10 coaches. So I'm very excited because this is not only, a new cool draft, this is also going to be the first draft of the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And so with this, I was strongly considering what I normally do, which is monotype teams. However, I couldn't bring myself to come to a monotype team that I was super excited about. A combination because of some of the tier lists not being able to do certain types, or just not being super excited. And in addition to that, there was a couple Pokemon I really wanted to use that I really couldn't connect through a single type or some other means. And so with that, I decided to go Mono-Paldea. So kind of, sort of, just kind of fell into Mono-Paldea. Actually, there was 7 specific Mons in which I specifically wanted to draft. Those 7 Mons were a combination of Mons that I in particularly liked based on their design, either aesthetically or based on some of their abilities and other things. And so with that, these are the 7 Mons I particularly was interested in running. And in addition to that, these ended up being the first 7 Pokemon I drafted. So I guess I should probably order this a little bit differently, but Skeledirge and the top is the first Pokemon I ended up drafting. Skeledirge is the fire starter. And so definitely like it. And it's my favorite final stage evolution. And Fuecoco was my favorite first stage evolution. So it's one of the big reasons I like it. In addition to that, Skeledirge is really bulky, has the ability Unaware, which is a really fun ability, ignoring your opponent's stat boosts. In addition to that, it has a really nice ability called, or move called Torch Song, which allows to increase its special attack. And so it's a mon that you can make it very bulky and then just slowly increase its special attack while dealing damage with an 80 base power Torch Song. And so I really wanted to try it out. Next up, I ended up doing Farafrig in the bottom left. The reason why I really like Farafrig, I really think it's a cool, cute design. I really enjoy looking at it. In addition to it, has the really nice ability Armor Tell, which prevents priority moves being done to my team, which is incredibly powerful. Prevents fake outs, sucker punch, extreme speed, and a lot of other things like that. Prankster, and so it can be very powerful. In addition to that, just being very bulky. Next up, I believe I ended up getting Arbulva, the top left Pokemon. So Arbulva, I don't. It's not. This one is not as much focused on the design, aesthetically, but more on the Pokemon as a whole. I think it's a really cool Pokemon. It has a new ability, in which whenever it's dealt damage, it activates terrain. So you get grassy terrain whenever it gets hit. In addition to that, it's a very bulky Pokemon with good special attack and reasonable Trick Room speed. And on top of that, it also has a cool normal and grass typing, which isn't super common. And I think normal grass typing or normal Pokemon in general are going to be very interesting for Terra types because you can use Terra Blast as a good stab move if you don't Terralize it. Next up, I believe I ended up getting Rapska. So Rapska's on the bottom right. So Rapska, I think, is probably my favorite new bug Pokemon. I love bug Pokemon in general. I'm not sure if it's my favorite bug Pokemon in just aesthetically, but I also really like its ability and its some aspects of it. So it's a psychic bug Pokemon, which I really like that combination. In addition to that, it's very bulky, has Trick Room, and it has the new move called Revival Blessing, which lets you revive a Pokemon that's been fainted in the battle, which is incredibly powerful and a very fun ability that I wanted to test out. After that, I believe I decided to get my Tauros. So the Tauros I honestly wanted the most was the Water Tauros, but I was just interested in Tauros as a whole. I really like original Tauros a lot, and I think as a fighting Pokemon, It's, has some interesting things you can do with it. The big thing I really liked with it was the Mono-Paldea Raging Bull. That new move is basically a super powered brick break. So it breaks screens in addition to just being a high base stab move. Um, like I said, I really wanted the water one. The water one was taken before I could get there. However, I just really wanted a Tauros in general, so I got the standard Tauros, which is just base fighting. After that, I think I ended up getting Clodsire, which so Clodsire is the evolution of Paldea Wooper, and first of all, it looks great. Look how cute it looks. In addition to that, I really like Quagsire. It's one of my favorite Pokemon in draft. I think it's one of the most underrated draft Pokemon. I think it's very powerful with moves with like abilities like Unaware, or Water Absorb. It has Yawn. It had normal. Quagsire has moves like Eerie Impulse and other moves like that. Very disruptive Pokemon with a very low base speed, so you can run in Trick Room or outside of Trick Room. So one of the good strengths of Paldean Wooper is that it remains with the Water Absorb. However, it is now Poison Ground, and so that Water Absorb is even more powerful because it actually gives an immunity to one of its weaknesses, and so that gives a big deal. And finally, the last Pokemon I really want to do is Bellyball. It's another Pokemon I really like the design. I really appreciate it. It's super cute. In addition to that, it has a really cool ability called Electromorphosis. Whenever it gets hit by a move, it then doubles the damage of the next electric move it uses. So it's very cool where you can either activate it yourself by hitting it and then using something like Thunderbolt, or you can, just be slower than your opponent. They take the damage from the Thunderbolt or from a move, and then you can do the double powered electric move. And so it's a really cool ability in that aspect. And so, in addition to me liking all these Pokemon, they all kind of have some common theme, which is all these Pokemon are really bulky. And so after that, I needed a couple things, which is one, my team was really slow, so I needed a little bit of speed. Two, I really wanted a water Pokemon since I didn't get Water Tauros, and I have my my fire and grass Pokemon already. And so with that, I got Dondoza. This was the best available water Pokemon left after I drafted those as my first 7 picks. I actually picked Dondozo as my last Pokemon, but it was my tier 1, so that's why I'm mentioning it first. Dondozo, not fixing my slowness problem, but is very good at keeping the same synergy, which is a slower Pokemon that is incredibly bulky, but still can do pretty good damage. So after that, I got a little bit of Pokemon to deal with my speed, which is Bombardier. Bombardier has 92 base speed, so not super fast. However, it gets Tailwind, and Tailwind can be helpful very much at helping deal with my speed problem. After that, I also wanted to get a Steel Pokemon because I think Steel Pokemon just in general are really good. Orthworm is my favorite new Steel Pokemon because it's so cute. This picture is not the best, but when it has little arms out, it's really cute. But in addition to that, it has a really powerful new ability called Earth Eater. So it's a Steel Pokemon that's immune to ground moves. And not only is it immune to it, it actually gets healed whenever it gets dealt with ground moves. And so that's why I was really wanted to test out. So it's really good, like type chart wise, like very good defensively. Other than that, it's just a pretty standard, bulky defensive Pokemon with not much offense. I think the most, reasonable sets with it are likely going to be like Iron Defense Body Press stuff, or activating, or healing it with my own Pokemon using Earthquakes and things like that. And finally, I got Arctobax. This one was basically just my last available Pokemon and the lowest tier, and I just picked it because it's somewhat bulky. If you give it an Eviolite, has a reasonable typing that didn't have a dragon or an ice type at the time. I really wanted Wugtrio, the new kind of Wugtrio regional variant basically, because it's really fast, and in addition was the water type I was going to use instead of Dondoza. However, Wugtrio is gone, and because it got taken from me, I decided to go with Dondozo as my water Pokemon, and then this was just kind of the last remaining tier 4 that I was somewhat happy with. That is from the Paldea region. And so finally, here's my team. So like I said, this isn't as much detail as I went in previous videos, and the big reason why is that I honestly didn't draft as intently or as focused as I did in the previous ones. I just kind of had 7 Pokemon I really liked, and then I said, okay, I want a water Pokemon. I found Dondozo. I needed some Tailwind Pokemon. I got Bombardier. And other than that, I kind of just filled it up with whatever was left. But if you look at my team, there's my team. It doesn't have the best type chart. It's okay type chart. I could have made it a little bit better if I wanted to, but I would have to drop a couple Pokemon I think are I actively want to use, or I think are I'd have to get worse mon to get my type chart better. And if you look at my speed, my speed is atrocious. With my third fastest Pokemon being Skeledirge at 66 speed, and my second fastest being 82 base speed, which is really bad. So hopefully this season goes well. We'll see though. But with that, thank you for watching, and I hope you all enjoy the upcoming season. Sadly, week 1 is probably not going to have a video, or if it is going to be a video, it's probably going to be a phone video. So hopefully that's not too bad for anyone, but we'll see. Thank you for watching.